A new day dawns. The city of Monroe, with its rhythmic pulse, breathed life into its inhabitants. As the first light of dawn peeked over the horizon, casting a golden hue on the streets, the chaos of a new day began to unfold. Streams of people filled the sidewalks, their hurried footsteps blending into a chaotic rhythm against the concrete, while impatient cars honked, trapped in the daily gridlock. It was another weekday morning, and for Jamal Edwards, it was a day that could potentially alter the course of his life. Jamal stood at the entrance of his apartment building, squinting against the bright sunlight that illuminated his surroundings. He was dressed in a crisp white shirt, the fabric unfamiliar against his skin, and a neatly knotted navy blue tie that felt restrictive. This attire was a stark contrast to his usual wardrobe of comfortable t-shirts and hoodies. Today was not just another day. It was the day of his job interview at Dorsey & Co., a prestigious financial firm that promised a brighter future. With a deep breath, Jamal smoothed down his shirt, trying to shake off the nerves that coiled in his stomach like a tightly wound spring. The door to his apartment swung open behind him, revealing the bustling scene of their modest kitchen. His mother, Angela, rushed around, her nurse's scrubs wrinkled from countless washes, as she multitasked between gulping down coffee and hastily biting into a piece of toast. Despite the morning chaos, her face radiated a tired but encouraging smile. "You got this, baby," she called out, her voice warm with encouragement. "Show them what you're made of." Jamal nodded, feeling a lump form in his throat. "Thanks, Ma. Don't work too hard today, all right?" Angela waved him off with a chuckle, her eyes sparkling with pride. "You know me. Now get going before you're late." With one final glance at his mother, Jamal stepped out into the vibrant pulse of the city, the door clicking shut behind him like a symbolic seal of determination. As he walked, the weight of expectation settled on his shoulders, tangible and heavy, but he was ready to bear it. He stepped onto the pavement, his polished shoes tapping out a steady beat as he navigated through the crowded streets. The neighborhood around him was a tapestry woven from the threads of history and modernity. Weathered brownstones stood shoulder to shoulder with sleek, glass-clad apartments that reflected the rising sun. A local bodega owner swept the front of his store, nodding in recognition as Jamal passed by. The familiar faces and sights of his childhood filled him with a sense of belonging, but there was also an unshakable desire within him to rise above the circumstances of his upbringing. Across the street, a group of children in pristine uniforms waited for their school bus, their laughter rising above the cacophony of honking horns and shouting vendors. Jamal's gaze lingered on a boarded-up building, its windows dark and empty. A faded "for lease" sign hung crookedly in the doorway, a ghost of the vibrant past it once hosted. He recalled when it was Mr. Johnson's barber shop, a neighborhood fixture that had served as a hub for stories and camaraderie for decades. The memories flooded back, bittersweet, reminding him of the resilience of his community. As he continued down the street, the rhythmic clatter of his shoes echoed in his ears, blending into the city's symphony. He approached the intersection where he usually crossed, but something in the air felt different today. Perhaps it was the weight of his aspirations or the electric anticipation of change that stirred his soul. Just then, he caught sight of an elderly woman standing on the curb, her frail figure a stark contrast to the busy urban backdrop. With silver hair pulled back in a neat bun and a floral dress that seemed to tell tales of summers gone by, she appeared to be waiting for the light to change, but her eyes were clouded with uncertainty. Jamal hesitated for a moment, torn between the urgency of his mission and the instinctive tug of empathy that compelled him to help. As the light turned green, he made a split-second decision, striding toward her with purpose. "Excuse me, ma'am," he said, offering a warm smile that instantly lit up his face. "Would you like some help crossing the street?" The woman turned to him, her expression softening as she met his gaze. "Oh, bless your heart," she replied, her voice trembling slightly with age. "I'd appreciate that very much. These streets seem so daunting sometimes." Jamal extended his arm, and she grasped it lightly, her grip gentle yet firm. He felt a surge of warmth as he guided her through the bustling intersection, weaving past cars that inched forward impatiently. With each step, he felt the weight of his own anxieties lift, replaced by the simple joy of helping someone in need. "You're a kind young man," she said, her eyes twinkling with gratitude. "What's your name?" "Jamal," he replied, glancing at her with curiosity. "What's yours?" "Evelyn," she said, her smile brightening. "It's nice to meet you, Jamal." As they reached the other side of the street, a sense of accomplishment swelled within him. Jamal looked around, observing the city in a new light. The faces of strangers, the cacophony of sounds, the essence of humanity that connected them all. It was a reminder that amidst the chaos of life, kindness was a thread that could weave people together. "Thank you, dear," Evelyn said, her voice breaking through his thoughts. "I don't know what I would have done without you. It's hard for me to navigate these busy streets nowadays." Jamal smiled, feeling a warm glow of satisfaction. "I'm just glad I could help. Is there anything else you need?" She hesitated, her gaze shifting to the ground as if she were contemplating something deeply. Then her eyes met his again, filled with a spark of determination. "Actually, yes. I'd love to buy you a cup of coffee as a thank you. My treat." He chuckled, surprised but touched by her offer. "That's very generous of you, but you don't have to. I was just doing what anyone should do." "Nonsense," she insisted, her voice firm but playful. "You helped me, and I'd like to repay that kindness. It's the least I can do." As they began walking toward a nearby cafe, Jamal couldn't help but feel a bond forming between them. He learned about her life, how she had lived in Monroe for over 70 years, and how the city had transformed around her. They exchanged stories, their laughter blending seamlessly with the bustling atmosphere, and for the first time that day, Jamal felt a weight lifted off his shoulders. In Evelyn, he found an unexpected ally. Little did he know that their encounter would lead to an astonishing revelation that would change both their lives forever. As they entered the cafe, the air filled with the rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee, Jamal couldn't shake the feeling that something remarkable awaited him just beyond the horizon. And so, the journey continued, with a young man and an elderly woman embarking on an adventure that would bridge the generational gap and unlock the hidden treasures of kindness, compassion, and inspiration. Together, they would discover the transformative power of a single act of kindness and the unforeseen consequences that followed. Conversations over coffee. The aroma of fresh coffee wafted through the air as Jamal and Evelyn settled into their seats at the cafe. It was a charming little spot, a hidden gem tucked away from the busy streets outside. The walls were adorned with local artwork, and the mismatched furniture gave the place a cozy, welcoming vibe. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, casting a warm glow over their table, making it the perfect backdrop for the budding friendship that was beginning to form. As they waited for their drinks, Jamal took a moment to observe Evelyn. Despite her frail appearance, there was a spark in her eyes, a depth of wisdom that intrigued him. She was a repository of stories, and he felt a growing curiosity to learn more about her life. "So, Evelyn," Jamal began, leaning forward slightly, "what was it like growing up in Monroe?" Her eyes lit up at the question, and a smile crept across her face. "Oh, it was a different time back then," she began, her voice steady yet filled with nostalgia. "I was born and raised in this very neighborhood. Back in the day, it was vibrant, full of families, laughter, and community gatherings. We would play in the streets, and everyone knew each other. There was a sense of safety and togetherness that I fear is a bit lost today." Jamal nodded, intrigued by her memories. "What about school? What was that like for you?" Evelyn chuckled softly, her expression a mixture of fondness and exasperation. "School was an adventure. I remember my teachers. They were strict, but they cared deeply about us. We would often have projects that encouraged us to explore our neighborhood. Those lessons stuck with me. I learned to appreciate the little things, like the flowers blooming in the park or the sound of children playing. Each corner of this city has a story. Her eyes seemed to drift away, lost in the reverie of her past. Jamal couldn't help but feel the weight of her experiences. The city she described was a far cry from the one he navigated today, filled with towering skyscrapers and the hurried pace of modern life. He could almost picture her as a young girl, laughing with friends on the same streets that now felt impersonal and chaotic. "What about your family? Did they have a big influence on you?" he asked, wanting to delve deeper into her narrative. "Absolutely," Evelyn replied, her gaze returning to the present. "My parents worked hard, but they always made time for us. Family dinners were sacred in our home, filled with stories and laughter. My mother, in particular, was a woman of immense strength. She taught me the importance of kindness and service to others. She often said, 'A little kindness goes a long way.' Those words have stuck with me throughout my life." Evelyn's voice was rich with emotion as she recounted her memories, and Jamal felt a connection to her story, a thread of resilience that echoed in his own journey. He thought about his mother, Angela, who worked tirelessly as a nurse, often coming home exhausted, yet always making time to support him. "What about you, Jamal?" Evelyn asked, her tone shifting as she returned the focus to him. "What's your story?" Jamal took a deep breath, the weight of vulnerability pressing against his chest. "Well, I grew up in a single-parent household. My mom did everything she could to provide for me. She worked long hours, and I spent a lot of time alone. It was tough at times, but she always encouraged me to dream big. I found solace in school, where I could escape and focus on my studies. I guess you could say that education became my refuge." Evelyn nodded, understanding the challenges he faced. Education is indeed powerful. It opens doors and creates opportunities. You're on the right path, Jamal. I can feel your determination. A waitress arrived, placing their drinks on the table. Jamal wrapped his hands around his steaming mug, relishing the warmth as it spread through his fingers. "Thanks," he said to the waitress before turning back to Evelyn, who had already taken a sip of her chamomile tea. "I admire your drive," Evelyn continued. "So, what's your next step after this interview? Do you have a plan?" Jamal hesitated for a moment, the weight of expectation pressing down on him. "I hope to get hired, of course. But I'm also looking to learn and grow in the finance world. I want to help people, maybe even start my own financial literacy program someday. I've seen too many people in my community struggle with finances because they don't have access to the right information." Evelyn's eyes widened, her interest piqued. "That sounds incredible. There's such a need for financial education, especially in underserved communities. It's wonderful that you want to give back. You have the heart of a servant, Jamal." "Thank you," he replied, feeling a surge of motivation at her words. "I just want to make a difference. I believe we can create a ripple effect of positivity." They continued to share their aspirations, each exchange fueling their connection. Jamal felt as if he were unveiling layers of himself that he hadn't allowed anyone to see before. The weight of his dreams, fears, and desires flowed freely between them, building a bridge of understanding that spanned their different generations. "Tell me, Jamal," Evelyn asked, her voice laced with curiosity. "What do you think will be the hardest part of achieving your dreams?" He paused, considering her question. "I think the hardest part will be overcoming self-doubt. There are days when I question whether I'm capable of achieving what I set out to do. I see successful people around me, and sometimes it feels like I'm miles away from their achievements." Evelyn leaned in, her expression earnest. Self-doubt is something we all grapple with, regardless of age or experience. It can be a daunting shadow, but remember that it's okay to falter. What matters is how you rise from those moments. Believe in yourself, and don't be afraid to seek support from those around you. Her words resonated deeply within him, igniting a spark of resolve. "You're right. I need to remind myself that everyone's journey is different. It's okay to take my time." "Absolutely," she replied, her smile radiant. Your journey is uniquely yours. Embrace it, and don't forget to enjoy the little moments along the way. As they sipped their drinks, the cafe buzzed around them, a vibrant tapestry of life that mirrored their own conversation. Jamal felt a sense of warmth and connection to Evelyn that he hadn't anticipated. In this unexpected meeting, he found not only a mentor but also a friend, someone who understood the weight of dreams and the importance of community. As the minutes turned into an hour, Jamal glanced at the clock on the wall. I should probably get going soon. I don't want to be late for my interview. Evelyn's face softened, a hint of reluctance crossing her features. Of course, dear, but promise me you'll come back and tell me how it goes. I want to hear all about it. Jamal chuckled, touched by her genuine interest. I promise. I wouldn't dream of not sharing it with you. As they finished their drinks, Jamal felt an unexpected bond with Evelyn. They were two souls connected by the threads of their stories, one a young man chasing his dreams, and the other a woman reflecting on a life well lived. Little did they know that their encounter would lead to remarkable changes for both of them, igniting a series of events that would transcend their differences and redefine the meaning of community. With a heartfelt goodbye, Jamal left the cafe, the weight of expectation replaced by a newfound sense of purpose. He stepped back onto the bustling streets of Monroe, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. In his heart, he carried Evelyn's wisdom and encouragement, a reminder that kindness could forge connections that transcended age and experience. As he walked toward his interview, Jamal felt lighter, his spirit buoyed by the unexpected friendship he had formed. The city around him seemed to come alive, filled with endless possibilities and the promise of new beginnings. The interview and unexpected challenges. As Jamal stepped into the impressive lobby of Dorsey & Co., a wave of emotion washed over him. The soaring ceilings and expansive glass windows created an atmosphere that was both intimidating and exhilarating. He took a moment to collect himself, breathing deeply as he observed the professionals around him. Their polished appearances and confident demeanor made it clear that he was stepping into a world where success was not just an aspiration but an expectation. Dressed in his crisp white shirt and navy tie, Jamal tried to project the confidence he felt inside. He checked his reflection in the glass door, smoothing his hair back and adjusting his collar one last time. The reality of the moment hit him. He was here to prove himself, to make a mark in a competitive industry that often felt out of reach. The receptionist, a young woman with sharp features and an air of efficiency, greeted him with a polite smile. "Good morning. How can I help you today?" "Good morning. I have an interview scheduled for 10 a.m. with Mr. Thompson," Jamal replied, his voice steady despite the flutter of nerves in his stomach. "Ah, yes. Please take a seat in the waiting area. I'll let him know you're here." She gestured toward a row of sleek chairs, where a few other candidates waited, their expressions mirroring Jamal's mix of anticipation and anxiety. Taking a seat, he glanced around, observing the other candidates. Each person seemed to embody a different aspect of professionalism. Some were buried in their notes, while others exchanged confident smiles and light conversation. The atmosphere was charged, almost electric, as everyone waited for their moment to shine. Jamal's mind wandered back to his earlier conversation with Evelyn. Her words echoed in his thoughts. "Believe in yourself, and don't be afraid to seek support." He recalled her encouragement, the warmth of their shared stories, and it reignited his determination. He had to remind himself that he belonged here, that his dreams were valid, and that he could carve out a space for himself in this challenging world. After what felt like an eternity, a tall man with an authoritative presence emerged from a conference room. He had salt and pepper hair, sharp blue eyes, and an air of confidence that commanded respect. Jamal Edwards, he called, his voice booming over the chatter of the waiting area. Jamal stood up, smoothing his shirt once more. "Yes, that's me," he replied, extending his hand for a firm handshake. "Mr. Thompson," the man introduced himself, his grip strong. "I'm glad you could make it. Let's head into my office." As they walked through the labyrinth of cubicles and glass offices, Jamal's heart raced. Each step felt significant, and he tried to absorb the sights and sounds of the bustling environment. The energy in the air was palpable, filled with ambition and purpose, and he knew he had to match that energy. Once inside the office, Jamal took a moment to admire the view from the floor-to-ceiling windows. The skyline of Monroe stretched before him, a mixture of historic buildings and modern architecture that symbolized progress and opportunity. Mr. Thompson gestured for him to take a seat at the large, polished conference table. "Let's get started," Mr. Thompson said, flipping open a folder filled with Jamal's application materials. "I've gone over your resume, and I'm impressed with your background. Tell me a little about yourself and why you're interested in Dorsey & Co." Jamal took a deep breath, centering himself. "Thank you for the opportunity, Mr. Thompson. My name is Jamal Edwards, and I recently graduated from Monroe University with a degree in finance. Growing up, I witnessed firsthand the impact that financial literacy can have on individuals and families. That experience ignited my passion for finance and helping others navigate their financial futures. Dorsey & Co. represents a place where I can learn from the best in the industry and contribute to meaningful work." Mr. Thompson nodded, his gaze steady and assessing. "That's a compelling reason, Jamal. Can you share an example of a challenge you faced in your academic career and how you overcame it?" As Jamal spoke, he recalled the countless late nights he spent studying for exams, the moments of doubt when he questioned whether he would succeed. "During my final year, I struggled with a particularly challenging course on investment analysis. I found myself overwhelmed and at times considered dropping the class. However, instead of giving up, I sought help from my professor and formed a study group with my peers. We worked together, sharing our insights and supporting each other, which ultimately helped me grasp the material and excel in the course." Mr. Thompson leaned back in his chair, visibly impressed. Collaboration and resourcefulness are key in our industry. It's important to recognize when you need help and to be proactive in seeking it out. That's a valuable skill. Encouraged by the positive response, Jamal continued to articulate his experiences, sharing stories about his internships, projects, and his commitment to community service. He discussed his aspirations for a future where he could empower others through financial education, emphasizing the importance of giving back to the community that had nurtured him. As the conversation progressed, Jamal felt himself relaxing, the initial nerves giving way to a sense of belonging. He could see the excitement in Mr. Thompson's eyes as they discussed various aspects of the finance industry, from investment strategies to market trends. It felt like a dialogue between equals, and for the first time, Jamal allowed himself to envision a future within the walls of Dorsey & Co. However, as the interview neared its conclusion, Jamal sensed a shift in Mr. Thompson's demeanor. "Jamal, I appreciate your enthusiasm and your desire to make a difference," he said, his tone becoming more serious. "But I must ask, how do you plan to manage the pressures that come with this job? The finance industry is fast-paced and demanding. There will be times when you may feel overwhelmed." Jamal swallowed hard, the reality of the question weighing on him. "I understand that it's a challenging field, but I believe my background has prepared me for it. I've faced my share of challenges, and I've learned the importance of resilience. I also prioritize self-care and maintain a strong support network. My mom has always emphasized the importance of balance, working hard while also taking care of my mental and emotional well-being." Mr. Thompson nodded thoughtfully, clearly considering Jamal's response. "It's refreshing to hear you speak about balance and self-care. Many young professionals often overlook that aspect, leading to burnout. You seem to have a clear perspective on what it takes to succeed in this field." As the interview wrapped up, Jamal felt a rush of relief. "Thank you for your time, Mr. Thompson. I appreciate the opportunity to share my story and discuss my aspirations with you." "Of course, Jamal. We'll be in touch soon," he replied, standing to shake Jamal's hand once more. "Best of luck with everything." As Jamal stepped out of the office, He felt a mix of emotions swirling within him: hope, excitement, and a touch of anxiety. He had given it his all, and now all he could do was wait. The experience had taught him that he was capable of navigating this world, that he could hold his own in discussions of finance and ambition. Leaving the building, he stepped out into the bustling streets of Monroe, the energy of the city enveloping him once more. The sounds of traffic and chatter faded into the background as his mind raced with thoughts of what was to come. But just as he was about to head back to the cafe to share the news with Evelyn, he noticed something unusual on the sidewalk. A small crowd had gathered, and he instinctively moved closer to see what was happening. A young girl stood crying beside her bike, which had been knocked over, the front wheel bent. An older man was trying to help her, but the crowd seemed more interested in staring than assisting. Jamal's heart raced. The last thing he wanted to see was someone in need being ignored. "Hey," he called out, pushing through the crowd. "What happened?" The man looked up, surprised to see Jamal approaching. "She fell off her bike. I'm trying to help her, but she's scared." Jamal knelt down beside the girl, wiping away her tears with a reassuring smile. "Hey there, it's okay. What's your name?" "Lily," she sniffled, her voice barely above a whisper. "Lily, I'm Jamal. Can I help you with your bike?" He gently examined the damage, knowing he had to act quickly to keep her calm. "It looks like the wheel is just bent a little. We can fix it, I promise." With a determined mindset, Jamal stood and began to examine the bike. The crowd shifted, some members whispering among themselves, but he was undeterred. "Can someone help me lift her bike?" he called out, and a few people stepped forward, eager to assist now that someone was taking charge. As they worked together, Jamal felt a sense of camaraderie with the crowd. Each person contributed, offering advice or holding the bike steady. Lily watched in awe as her bike was gradually fixed. In that moment, Jamal realized the power of community, the same concept Evelyn had spoken about earlier. When the bike was finally standing upright, Jamal turned to Lily. "There you go. All better. Now, are you ready to ride?" With a wide smile, Lily nodded, her tears forgotten. She climbed back onto her bike, her face lighting up as she tested the wheels. The crowd cheered, and Jamal felt a rush of satisfaction. As Lily pedaled away, waving goodbye, he turned to see the crowd dispersing. Their expressions transformed from indifference to warmth. One by one, they began to smile and nod at him, their previous apathy replaced with gratitude. "Thanks for stepping in," one woman said, her eyes shining with appreciation. "You really helped her out there." Jamal shrugged, feeling a sense of pride swell in his chest. "Just doing what anyone would do," he replied, but inside, he knew that what he had done was more than just helping a girl with a bike. It was a reminder that kindness had the power to connect people, to create a ripple effect of positivity in the world. As he walked away from the scene, Jamal's thoughts turned back to his interview. It had been a pivotal moment in his life, but he realized that every experience, good or bad, contributed to his growth. He was beginning to see the bigger picture. Success wasn't just about landing a job. It was about making a difference, even in the smallest ways. With a renewed sense of purpose, he made his way back to the cafe, eager to share the day's events with Evelyn. He had stepped into a new chapter of his life, armed with the lessons he had learned and the connections he had forged. No matter what the future held, Jamal knew that he would approach it with an open heart and a commitment to kindness, ready to embrace whatever came next. The unexpected connection. Upon arriving at the cafe, Jamal's heart raced with excitement as he pushed open the door. The familiar bell chimed overhead, and the comforting aroma of coffee filled his senses. He scanned the room, hoping to spot Evelyn amidst the hustle and bustle. To his relief, he found her seated at the same table they had shared earlier, her face lighting up as she caught sight of him. "Jamal, you're back," she exclaimed, her voice warm and inviting. "Of course, I promised I would return." He slid into the seat across from her, unable to contain his enthusiasm. "You won't believe what just happened." Evelyn's eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Do tell." Jamal took a moment to catch his breath, eager to share the details of his day. "I had my interview at Dorsey & Co., and it went really well. We talked about my experiences, my aspirations, and I even faced a tough question about managing pressure, which I think I handled pretty well." Evelyn smiled broadly, pride radiating from her. "That's wonderful, Jamal. I knew you had it in you. How did it feel to be in such a professional environment?" "It was a little intimidating at first, to be honest," Jamal admitted, his fingers nervously tracing the rim of his coffee cup. "But once I started talking about my journey and what I hope to achieve, I found my footing. It felt like I was sharing my story rather than just answering questions." Evelyn leaned in closer, her expression encouraging. "That's the key, isn't it? Connecting with your audience. When you share your experiences, you build bridges. People want to hear your story." "That's exactly how I felt," Jamal replied, excitement bubbling in his voice. "But you won't believe what happened after the interview." Evelyn's eyes widened in anticipation. "Go on." "So, after the interview, I stepped outside, and there was a small crowd gathered around a little girl who had fallen off her bike. She was crying, and no one seemed to be helping her. It broke my heart. So I stepped in and helped her fix her bike." Evelyn's expression shifted from curiosity to concern. "Oh no, was she hurt?" "No, just shaken up," Jamal reassured her. "But it was so important to her. And after we fixed the bike together, the crowd actually started to join in and help. It felt incredible to see how people responded once I took the first step. It was like I sparked something in them. It reminded me of the importance of community and kindness." Evelyn's eyes shimmered with approval. "That's amazing, Jamal. You didn't just fix a bike. You connected with those people. You showed them that one act of kindness can inspire others to act." "Exactly. It made me realize that no matter what happens with the job, I want to continue doing things like that. I want to make a difference, however small it might seem." Evelyn smiled knowingly. "You're already on the right path. You see the world through the lens of possibility. And that's a gift. So, what's next? Do you feel like you'll get the job?" "I hope so. But I know I have to stay grounded. I can't let myself get too caught up in what's next. I just want to continue working hard and making connections, both in my career and my community." "Wise words," she said, her voice softening. "In your pursuit of success, don't forget to nurture those connections. They can open doors you never even knew existed." They shared a moment of comfortable silence, sipping their drinks while soaking in the warmth of their conversation. Jamal found solace in Evelyn's presence, feeling as if he could share his dreams and fears without judgment. "What about you, Evelyn?" he asked, breaking the silence. "What's next for you? I know you've had quite a journey yourself." Evelyn chuckled lightly, a twinkle in her eye. "Oh, my journey has been filled with twists and turns, but right now I'm focused on writing my memoir. I've been working on it for a while, and I think it's time to finally share my stories with the world." "That's incredible. What kind of stories are you planning to tell?" Jamal leaned in, intrigued. She sighed, a mixture of excitement and apprehension. "I want to weave together the stories of my childhood, the lessons I learned, and the people who shaped me. I believe that each story holds a lesson, and I want to inspire others to find their own strength through my experiences." "Evelyn, that's so inspiring. I'd love to read it when it's done. It sounds like it could really resonate with people." "Thank you, Jamal. I hope so. I think it's important for people to know that we're all connected through our stories, no matter how different our paths may be." Just then, the cafe door swung open, and a rush of cool air swept through the room. A group of college students entered, laughter trailing behind them. Jamal watched as they mingled, the energy they'd brought filling the space with a vibrancy that reminded him of his own university days. "See, there's that connection again," Evelyn remarked, following his gaze. "Look at those young people. They're sharing stories, building memories, and supporting each other. That's the essence of community. I want to be a part of that, Jamal said, determination flickering in his eyes. Not just in my career, but also in my community. I want to build something that empowers people. Evelyn smiled, her expression proud. You will, Jamal. Just keep that heart of yours open, and you'll find ways to connect and make an impact. Their conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with laughter, insights, and shared dreams. Jamal felt a profound connection to Evelyn, a mentor and friend whose life experiences had shaped her into the remarkable woman she was. After a while, Evelyn glanced at her watch. Oh dear, I didn't realize how much time had passed. I have a meeting with my writing group soon. I need to make sure I'm prepared. Of course, I don't want to keep you, Jamal replied, feeling a pang of disappointment. But I'm so glad we met today. You've given me so much to think about. Evelyn stood, gathering her belongings. The pleasure is mine, Jamal. Remember, this is just the beginning of our friendship. I want to hear about your journey, both in the job and beyond. I will. And please let me know how your writing is going. I'm really excited for you, he said, rising to give her a warm hug. As they parted ways, Jamal felt a sense of gratitude. His encounter with Evelyn had opened his eyes to the power of connection and the importance of sharing stories. In a world that often felt disconnected, he knew he wanted to be someone who fostered community and kindness. Stepping back into the bustling streets, Jamal took a deep breath, the cool air filling his lungs. The city seemed brighter, alive with possibilities, and he was ready to embrace whatever came next. With renewed determination, he walked forward, excited to see where his journey would lead him, both in his career and in life. A new chapter. Days turned into weeks, and as Jamal continued his routine of job hunting and networking, he often found himself reflecting on his conversation with Evelyn. Her words lingered in his mind, guiding him as he navigated the challenges of finding employment in the competitive finance world. Finally, one afternoon, as he sat in his small apartment, his phone rang. It was an unknown number, and his heart raced as he answered. "Hello, is this Jamal Edwards?" A voice on the other end asked. "Yes, this is he," Jamal replied, his heart pounding. "This is Linda from Dorsey & Co. I'm calling to inform you that we were impressed with your interview, and we'd like to extend an offer for you to join our team." Jamal's breath caught in his throat. "Really? Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I'm incredibly grateful for this opportunity." As they discussed the details of the offer, Jamal felt a rush of emotions, relief, excitement, and a deep sense of accomplishment. He had fought hard for this moment, and it was finally within reach. After hanging up, he let out a joyous laugh, feeling the weight of uncertainty lift off his shoulders. He immediately thought of Evelyn, eager to share the news. He picked up his phone and sent her a quick message. "I got the job at Dorsey & Co. Thank you for all your encouragement." Within moments, his phone buzzed with her reply. "Congratulations, Jamal. I knew you could do it. Let's celebrate." Jamal couldn't contain his smile. He quickly made plans to meet her at the cafe later that day. As he prepared to leave, he felt a mixture of nerves and excitement. This was not just a victory for him. It was a testament to the importance of connections, mentorship, and community. When he arrived at the cafe, Evelyn was already seated at their usual table, her face lighting up as she saw him. "There's my favorite new employee," she exclaimed, standing to give him a warm hug. "I can't believe it. I'm really going to be a part of Dorsey & Co., Jamal said, his voice filled with wonder. Evelyn's eyes sparkled with pride. "You earned it, Jamal. This is just the beginning of a fantastic journey. So, tell me everything. What will you be doing?" "They're bringing me on as an analyst," he explained, feeling a surge of pride as he shared the details. "I'll be working with a team on investment strategies and financial planning for clients. It's a lot to take in, but I'm ready for the challenge." As they talked, Jamal felt a deep sense of gratitude for Evelyn's support and wisdom. Their conversations had inspired him to be more than just a professional. They had encouraged him to connect with others and make a positive impact in the world. "Jamal, this is fantastic news," she said, raising her coffee cup in a toast. "To new beginnings and the journeys ahead." They clinked their cups together, and for a moment, the world around them faded away. It was just the two of them, celebrating a milestone that marked not only Jamal's professional achievement, but also the strength of their friendship. As they settled back into conversation, Jamal realized how much he had grown since they first met. He was no longer just a recent graduate searching for his path. He was a young man ready to embrace challenges, equipped with the support of a mentor and the community around him. "I want to make sure I pay it forward," Jamal said earnestly, looking into Evelyn's eyes. "I want to be someone who inspires others like you inspired me." Evelyn smiled, her expression warm and encouraging. "You already are, Jamal. By simply sharing your story and being open to helping others, you'll inspire those around you. It's about creating a ripple effect." Over the next few weeks, Jamal settled into his new role at Dorsey & Co. The work was challenging but exhilarating, and he found himself thriving in the fast-paced environment. Each day brought new lessons, and he embraced every opportunity to learn from his colleagues. As he grew more comfortable in his position, he also made it a point to connect with others in the office. He organized lunch and learn sessions where colleagues could share their experiences and insights, creating a supportive atmosphere that echoed the lessons he had learned from Evelyn. One afternoon, as he was preparing for a meeting, Jamal received an email from a coworker named Sarah. She was struggling with some financial concepts and asked if he could help her understand them better. Remembering his own experiences and how he had sought help during challenging times, Jamal eagerly agreed. They met after work, and as he explained the concepts, he felt a sense of fulfillment. It was more than just helping someone. It was about sharing knowledge and building connections. The experience reminded him of the moment he had helped Lily with her bike. In both cases, he was able to make a difference, no matter how small. Word quickly spread about Jamal's willingness to help, and soon others began reaching out to him for guidance. He found himself immersed in a community of support and collaboration, much like the one he had envisioned for himself. As Jamal reflected on his journey, he realized that he was not just building a career, but also nurturing relationships that would last a lifetime. He was becoming a bridge between people, sharing stories, offering help, and inspiring those around him. One evening, after a particularly productive week at work, Jamal decided to invite Evelyn to dinner to celebrate their friendship and the progress he had made. They met at a cozy restaurant, and as they settled into their seats, he couldn't help but feel grateful for her guidance. "Thank you for everything, Evelyn," he said earnestly. "I wouldn't be here without your support." Evelyn smiled, her eyes twinkling. "You did this all on your own, Jamal. I merely provided a little encouragement along the way. You've taken the reins of your journey, and that's something to be proud of." As they enjoyed their meal, they shared stories, laughter, and dreams for the future. Jamal felt a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that he was on a path that aligned with his values of kindness and connection. The evening ended with a promise to continue supporting each other as they both pursued their dreams. As they said their goodbyes, Jamal felt a surge of determination. He was ready to embrace whatever challenges lay ahead, equipped with the lessons he had learned and the connections he had built. Building a legacy. As months passed, Jamal continued to excel at Dorsey & Co. His passion for finance deepened, and he found himself taking on more responsibilities and leading projects that challenged his skills. He loved the thrill of working with clients and helping them navigate their financial journeys. Each successful project reinforced his belief that he was in the right place, doing meaningful work. Jamal had also started mentoring interns at the firm, eager to share his experiences and help guide them through their own journeys. He found joy in nurturing new talent, just as Evelyn had nurtured him. One of the interns, a bright-eyed recent graduate named Mia, reminded him of his younger self, full of ambition, but unsure of how to navigate the corporate landscape. "Jamal, can I ask you something?" Maya said one afternoon, her brow furrowed in concentration. "How did you manage to build such strong connections at Dorsey? It seems like you know everyone." Jamal chuckled softly, remembering his own insecurities when he first joined the firm. "It wasn't always easy, Mia, but I focused on being genuine and open. I tried to approach every interaction as a chance to learn from others and share my own experiences." "That makes sense. I've been trying to network, but it feels so intimidating," she admitted, her voice tinged with hesitation. "Start small," Jamal advised, leaning back in his chair. "Ask questions, show interest in what others are doing, and don't be afraid to share your own story. You'll be surprised at how willing people are to connect." Mia nodded, a determined expression forming on her face. "Thanks, Jamal. I'll definitely give that a try." As he watched her leave his office, Jamal felt a sense of fulfillment. Mentoring Mia wasn't just about sharing knowledge. It was about continuing the cycle of kindness and connection that he had experienced with Evelyn. He hoped to inspire her to embrace her journey, just as Evelyn had inspired him. With each passing day, Jamal found himself increasingly invested in the culture of support at Dorsey & Co. He organized team-building events, brainstorming sessions, and casual Friday get-togethers, all aimed at fostering collaboration and camaraderie among colleagues. He believed that a strong community not only made the workplace enjoyable, but also propelled everyone toward success. One Friday evening, he hosted a happy hour at a local brewery to celebrate the completion of a significant project. As the team gathered, laughter filled the air, and the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Jamal took a moment to step back and observe the connections forming. People from different departments sharing stories, exchanging ideas, and building friendships. "Jamal, you've created something special here," one of his colleagues remarked, raising a glass in appreciation. "Thanks for bringing us all together." His heart swelled with pride. "I believe that when we work together and support one another, we can achieve great things. Cheers to our success." As the evening progressed, Jamal's thoughts drifted back to Evelyn. He realized that her impact on his life extended beyond their initial meeting. She had ignited a passion for kindness and connection that influenced every aspect of his journey. He knew he had to share his gratitude with her. The next day, he decided to plan a special celebration for Evelyn, inviting her to a surprise dinner at the same restaurant where they had celebrated his job offer. He wanted her to know how much she meant to him and how grateful he was for her guidance. He reached out to a few of their mutual friends, hoping to make it a night to remember. The evening of the celebration arrived, and Jamal felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness as he waited for Evelyn. The restaurant was beautifully decorated, and the aroma of delicious food filled the air. When Evelyn walked in, her face lit up in surprise. "Jamal, what's all this?" she exclaimed, glancing around at the decorations and the group of friends gathered at the table. "Surprise! This dinner is to celebrate you and everything you've done for me. I wouldn't be here without your support and wisdom," he said, beaming with gratitude. Evelyn's eyes shimmered with emotion. "Oh, Jamal, you didn't have to do all this." "I wanted to," he replied earnestly. "You've inspired me to connect with others and create a positive environment. I want to honor that by continuing to build community, just as you did for me." The night unfolded in laughter, stories, and heartfelt conversations. They reminisced about their first meeting at the cafe, the journey that had brought them together, and the impact they had both made on one another's lives. Jamal shared stories of his mentoring experiences, how he hoped to inspire others the way Evelyn had inspired him. "You're already doing that, Jamal," she said, her voice filled with warmth. "Every time you uplift someone or create an opportunity for connection, you're leaving a legacy." As the evening drew to a close, Jamal felt a sense of fulfillment wash over him. He had not only celebrated his achievements, but also reaffirmed the importance of relationships and community. Evelyn had planted the seeds of kindness in his heart, and now he was nurturing them with every connection he made. Part 7. The legacy continues. With the passing of time, Jamal's career flourished at Dorsey & Co. He was recognized for his contributions, receiving accolades for his ability to lead and inspire. However, it wasn't just professional success that brought him joy. It was the community he had cultivated, one filled with mutual support and encouragement. Inspired by his experiences, Jamal proposed a new initiative to his leadership team, a community outreach program where employees could volunteer their skills to assist local businesses and nonprofits. He envisioned a partnership where his colleagues could share their expertise in finance and business strategy, helping local entrepreneurs thrive. After several meetings and discussions, the program gained momentum. Jamal worked tirelessly to connect with local organizations, gathering input and forming partnerships that would benefit both the community and Dorsey & Co. Employees were eager to get involved, and soon the initiative was launched. Jamal felt a renewed sense of purpose as he watched his colleagues step into their roles as mentors and advisors. The program created an opportunity for them to connect with the community in meaningful ways, echoing the very lessons Evelyn had imparted to him. One sunny Saturday, Jamal and a group of volunteers held a workshop for aspiring entrepreneurs at a community center. They shared valuable insights about budgeting, financial planning, and marketing strategies. As the participants engaged, Jamal felt the same thrill he had experienced during his first successful projects. He was creating a ripple effect of positivity that would reach far beyond the walls of Dorsey & Co. Throughout the workshop, he noticed a young woman in the back, furiously taking notes. During a break, she approached him, her eyes shining with determination. "Thank you for this opportunity. I've been thinking about starting my own business for a while, but I didn't know where to begin." Jamal smiled, feeling a sense of connection with her. "I'm glad you're here. If you need any guidance, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to help you on your journey." As the event concluded, the atmosphere was charged with excitement and hope. Participants exchanged contact information, eager to collaborate and support one another in their entrepreneurial endeavors. Jamal realized that the initiative was not just about teaching. It was about building a network of aspiring entrepreneurs who could uplift each other. As the months rolled on, the community outreach program flourished, drawing in more volunteers and participants. Jamal found himself dedicating more time to the initiative, feeling invigorated by the impact they were making. It became a vital part of his life, intertwining with his professional responsibilities at Dorsey & Co. During a particularly rewarding meeting, Jamal received an email that made his heart race. It was an invitation to speak at a local conference on entrepreneurship and community engagement. The organizers had heard about the outreach program and wanted him to share his story and the lessons learned through the initiative. "Jamal, this is fantastic," Mia exclaimed when he told her the news. "You have to do it." "I know. I'm just a little nervous," he admitted, running a hand through his hair. "What if I forget what to say?" Mia smiled reassuringly. "Just share your story and the impact you're making. People will connect with your authenticity." With Mia's encouragement and support from his colleagues, Jamal decided to embrace the opportunity. He spent the following weeks preparing, reflecting on his journey and the transformative moments that had shaped his path. The day of the conference arrived, and as Jamal stepped onto the stage, he felt a wave of nerves wash over him. The auditorium was filled with eager faces, all ready to hear his story. Taking a deep breath, he began to speak. "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm thrilled to be here today to share my journey, the lessons I've learned, and the importance of community connection." As he spoke, he recounted his experiences, his struggles, the mentorship he received from Evelyn, and how that inspired him to give back. The audience listened intently, nodding along as he shared the power of kindness and the ripple effect it can create. He spoke about the community outreach program, the lives it had touched, and how every connection had the potential to foster growth and empowerment. As he concluded his speech, the applause that erupted filled him with joy. He had not only shared his story, but also inspired others to consider how they could make a difference in their communities. After the conference, attendees approached him to express their appreciation and to discuss their own journeys. Jamal felt a surge of fulfillment. This was exactly what he had hoped for, a gathering of like-minded individuals eager to create positive change. Months turned into years, and the outreach program continued to thrive. Jamal watched as it evolved, incorporating new ideas and initiatives that aligned with the changing needs of the community. He had built something far beyond his initial vision, a legacy of support and connection that would endure long after he moved on. Through all the ups and downs, Jamal never lost sight of the importance of mentorship and connection. He maintained a close relationship with Evelyn, sharing updates on his journey and inviting her to events to witness the impact they were both making. During one of their catch-up dinners, Evelyn smiled warmly at Jamal. "You've done amazing things, my friend. It's incredible to see how you've taken the lessons I shared and transformed them into something so meaningful." "I couldn't have done it without you, Evelyn," he replied sincerely. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Your kindness ignited a spark that continues to light the way for others." As they toasted to the future, Jamal felt a deep sense of gratitude. He had not only forged a successful career, but had also created a community that thrived on connection, kindness, and shared knowledge. He was living the legacy of mentorship that Evelyn had instilled in him, and he was determined to carry that torch forward. In the years that followed, as Jamal transitioned through different roles within Dorsey & Co., he remained steadfast in his commitment to building community. Whether it was through mentorship, outreach, or simply lending a listening ear, he ensured that the spirit of connection lived on in everything he did. In his heart, Jamal knew that the journey was far from over. With each new challenge and opportunity, he was ready to embrace the future, knowing that the lessons of kindness, connection, and community would guide him every step of the way.